Hey everyone, we're back with a new video. Today we're talking about 8.15, and while we were recording this, 8.15.1 has been released, so we'll drop a sentence on that release as well.
Yep.
So let's get to it. I'm Paul Ketelaars.
And I'm Willem van Zandvoort.
And let's get started. We have a different setup.
Yeah, we're going to try something new.
Yeah, we're going to try something new.
Yes.
So we've been thinking about it, and basically everyone can scroll through a blog and read the release notes. And even though we picked those things out of the release notes, we thought it would be more fun to show some more of the stuff in Studio Pro, if applicable. So that's what we're gonna do.
Today we have a release that is that has some features that we can show in Studio Pro.
Yeah.
And that's going to be fun. Let's do this.
The features we're discussing right now have been released in 8.15.0. However, there is a hotfix release 8.15.1. And apparently, if you suppressed your warnings in 8.13.0 or 8.14.0 or something like that, you couldn't open your project anymore in 8.15. So suppressed warnings in a previous project resulted in not being able to upgrade your project, basically. And that has been fixed in 8.15.1.
So you know what to do if you run into that issue.
Yep. Okay, so let's dive into Studio Pro.
Yeah. What's the first thing on the menu?
Do you want to start with the biggest one?
Yeah, let's. We can be brief about this one as well, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one on the menu for today is the Mendix native mobile builder.
Yep.
And it's basically that sentence says it all.
It does.
Previously, there was when you wanted to build a native app, you'd have to build your app using a command line interface, which was possible. And if you used it and you were used to it, it was okay. Right, you can't show it because we don't have a native project here. Nice, of course.
I was looking at why can't I click this, but I guess because I don't have my navigation set up correctly. So if I would add native mobile, we would have something.
Oof, nice.
Wow.
Okay, so the native, to continue my my story. Yeah, my story. The native mobile builder is a graphical user interface on top of the command line interface. And the cool thing about this, without diving in too many details, is it's a standalone application within Studio Pro. So they can, for example, if Google or Apple introduces new requirements, they can update the native mobile builder independently from Studio Pro. So there won't be any need for a new Studio Pro release to adhere to those new requirements.
That is a great feature.
Yeah, that's
especially
pretty cool.
With something new like this.
Yeah, and they can quickly push fixes without having to publish new Studio Pro releases.
And I guess it will be updated automatically, and then you can benefit
you saw
the new features.
The screen when you open the native mobile builder, you saw the screen has been updated.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it does. Every time you open it, it checks for an update, downloads it, installs it, and you can use it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's just a more easy way to build your native applications. And like I said, without diving into too many details, that's because we are going to publish a separate video on this subject, because it's such an important new feature in the Mendix world, I think. Yeah, nice. Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
So we're gonna record a separate video with a special guest about this subject. So stay tuned for that real soon.
Yes. Super excited for this.
Yeah.
Because I think the blog mentions it well briefly, but I
Mm-hmm.
think it deserves a lot more attention,
Yeah.
and that is one of the reasons why we are going to make a separate video on this subject.
Next on the list is the new microflow expressions. So there are a couple of new microflow expressions,
Okay.
which are pretty handy.
Mm-hmm.
There are four. We have calendar months between, calendar years between, datetime to epoch, and epoch to datetime. And especially those
Okay.
last two, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty common to use in, for example, an interface like
Yeah.
an API. Um, we had to use the community commons for it, which was datetime to long, I guess, called something like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we don't need to use the community commons for it anymore.
So we have, for example, calendar months between.
Yeah, and you can add two dates, I think.
Mm-hmm. So, for example, current
Yep.
daytime. Yeah, well, for the sake of just type integer long should be. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
of
This
course.
is integer. Okay, that's some great stuff.
Yeah,
I like that
easy
this
does it.
is supported out of the box.
I agree. Totally
Yeah,
agree. Quick win
that's
for them, I think.
even though I absolutely love the community commons, the less you have to use it, the better.
Exactly. The less we have to depend on third party, third
Mm-hmm.
party because it's first party, but still
But still,
App Store content,
yeah.
the better. Next on the list is on-change behavior for text boxes.
Mm-hmm.
You can you could always select an on-change. Well, always. Way back in the day, not, but you
Yeah.
can select an on-change microflow on a text box, for example, and that microflow would be executed as soon as the user leaves the field the microflow is
Mm-hmm.
configured on.
Yeah.
Now, however,
You have two
there's a new
options.
property.
Yep.
So you can execute your microflow while the user is still entering data.
Yeah, and
And that,
you can find it in the events tab.
yeah,
It's below the on-change behavior.
yeah. So when you select the property, you get an extra option which allows you to set the interval. So in this case, every 300 milliseconds, the microflow will be executed.
Yeah. So if I would have an on-change, say for example, well, call a microflow to do some calculations,
Yeah,
it will be triggered every 300 milliseconds,
yeah,
um, which is pretty
fast.
awesome, especially business to consumer, I think, because we're all used to being able to type and do something and then uh, having that value be stored in the state.
I saw this being used. They use it as a validation,
Mm-hmm.
and even though that can be useful, it can be pretty user friendly, right? Giving your user
Absolutely.
feedback at the time you're typing instead of having to fill in every field, press save, and seeing everything you did wrong, basically.
Yeah,
Um, but this requires a lot of microflows
it does.
if you want to do this in a regular form.
Yeah,
Like,
so usually when you would create some validation, you would have like one big microflow that does the
yeah,
validation. At least that's what we do in our conventions. You press the save button and then you have a big validation microflow.
yeah,
In this case, if you want to do the validation in an on change, that would require you to create a separate microflow for each field that you would validate in your on change.
yeah,
Uh, that results in a lot of microflows. Well, that is okay, and the maintainability is also quite easy. But I don't know. I would only do this if it is explicitly necessary to do so.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
I think
Yeah,
this one comes with a warning.
yeah. So even though the feature is cool, tread lightly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and do test this when
Yeah.
you implement it.
So don't go and build complex logic in your on-change microflow
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
execute it every 300 milliseconds because that will have a negative effect.
exactly.
But that those are basically the new
The new
features
features.
we wanted to discuss. However, there is as we like to call it, one dishonorable mention.
Yeah,
It's not groundbreaking, but it can be a bit annoying.
annoying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're
So
like us and you create a lot of sub microflows that do some calculations that are create an object and they return that object, and you drag that into your microflow, it now
yeah,
has the name variable, and that goes for everyone that
yep.
you add.
Everything is called variable.
So the first thing you would have to do when you now drag a microflow that has a returned object, or I think a variable as well, um, you would have to press F2, rename it to restaurant. Well, in this case, it already exists, but you get the gist.
Yeah.
I think this is so annoying.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying.
Especially if you have a day of heavy microflow building.
Yeah.
This will take time.
Yeah.
I can assume this is an easy fix.
I assume as well. This has to be fixed in. They probably could have fixed it in 8.15.1 as well,
Mm-hmm.
but this has to be fixed in 8.16.
It definitely has to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it for the dishonorable mention.
Yeah.
Um, Apart from that,
So
let's take a look at the improvements and see
sure.
if there's anything worth mentioning that we
Yeah.
can put in the video.
Cool. We improved the customization of styles for the text box, text area, and drop-down native widgets in their focused state. So you can
Mm-hmm.
uh, style your focused state of those widgets for native apps. That's
Oh,
pretty handy.
that is nice.
The
Well,
last one is a pretty nice one too.
yep. Yeah, that's very cool. Made the resulting classes property in widget design properties and multi-line text, so it is easier
Yeah.
to read.
So it was a text box, and if you had a lot of design properties,
Yeah,
you couldn't. You had to select all and paste it in a different window to see all the resulting classes. And now it's a multi-line text area, so you can easily see all the resulting
yeah.
classes.
So instead of it being a a single list.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, some known issues.
Ah, there it is.
Yep.
So that's a known issue we just mentioned, and that has been fixed in 8.15. If you have
Exactly.
suppressed warning settings,
And
and
then a consumed OData service with a new version from Mendix Data Hub. When you update it, close the document without saving, the blue arrow icon will no longer be shown to notify you about the available update for that service. Okay, so kind of like a refresh issue on a Data Hub side.
yeah, yeah,
All right, haven't run into that yet, but it's
no.
good to know that it's an issue. For Data Hub to work properly, I think this is necessary. But
Yeah, they'll probably fix this real soon.
yeah, I assume this in 8.16 this will be fixed.
Yeah. So that's it for 8.50. Yeah, 8.15 and
8.15.
8.15.1.
Yep, I think it's a decent release. I like
Yeah.
the fact that there are a lot of fixes in this release. I suggest if you have an issue, check the fixes list.
Yep.
And, and well, obviously, native mobile builder is like
Big release.
the biggest thing in this release.
Yeah.
Like we said, be on the lookout for a new video. If you want to stay up to date, subscribe to our channel and well, look at a message when the video is live. Apart from that, we had the new Microflow Expressions.
Yep.
Which is a good thing.
Pretty decent.
And
On change behavior for text boxes.
that was it. What do you think? What's your verdict?
In general, good release. Native Builder is a great addition, really powerful, and I can see this becoming huge. The datetime is really handy to not be dependent on community comments for that anymore. The on-change behavior can be useful, but personally I would stay away from it, I think.
Yeah,
But that's personal taste.
I agree. So all in all, it's worth upgrading to 8.15. it seems. We hope you found this video informative or entertaining, at least.
Hopefully more entertaining uh, by viewing it directly in Studio Pro as of just scrolling through the release notes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very curious to hear what you think of this new little setup. So please leave a comment if you think if this new setup is cool. And again, stay tuned for our new video on the Mendix native mobile builder coming real soon.
All right.
Close it off.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye bye.